Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I said WrestleCast of I guess this is Review Cast. Where we'll be talking about the two Marvel Studios trailers that dropped today from D23 Brazil. First up is going to be Captain America: Brave New World, and then we'll talk about also Thunderbolts. So, first of all, I am your host, Dana, and I am joined by Mr. Danny Martinez. How are you doing today?
How you doing? Thanks for having me. Very good trailers.
And I completely agree. And what I kind of love about it was how completely different they were. So
Hmm
we're getting those different tones coming from Marvel, and I was really shocked at how good they look. It kind of reminded me of back in the old days, like we got some money and our script is actually scripting. So I'm looking forward to what could be. I'm scared though. All right, is there any scaredness with you? Because we've been duped before with like really great trailers, only to discover the movie was like, wah, wah.
Yeah, I mean the trailers are meant to hype you up, and I think trailers. I think even still now, trailers have a habit of giving away too much.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of think that that's what's going on with these two trailers. Not that I'm saying that they're bad, but I'm saying that I feel like they are still giving away too much. But they're getting their groove back for sure.
They're getting their groove back. After they did fire Bob Chapek, who was all about quantity instead of quality.
Hmm
Remember, they threw out the script. They were filming. It was like almost done. Remember, Seth Rollins was cast. We had a completely a different version. Kevin Feige, who finally got control again, stepped in and was like, "Nah, we're not doing this. This is terrible," and kind of had to restart again. And it was the reshoots, a lot of reshoots, a lot of script changes. We don't know if we're even getting Seth Rollins at this point. Could, maybe, maybe not. But definitely, this is something that looks completely delicious for me. So, what were your initial thoughts when you first saw the trailer?
So for Captain America, I wasn't expecting a lot from it because the first trailer
Uh-huh.
was good, but it was just like like okay, cool. I'm excited for a new Captain America movie, but that's about it. Like it wasn't really much to it, and of course, the stinger right at the end was the Red Hulk. So now we know the Red Hulk is in it, and again, that was one of those things where I was just like, you could have saved that for like just before the release of the movie, surprise people with it if anything. But you want to sell tickets, you want to get butts and seats, so of course you're gonna throw them in there now. So but so for the new trailer, I was highly surprised that there was a lot more action in it, and CGI looks better, and the action that was done, I'm really excited what they're gonna do with Sam Wilson's aerial combats with his wings. Like they really showcase that a lot with this trailer, and I was like, oh, okay, this is definitely a different Captain America movie. So I was really excited about what they're gonna do with his stuff. Yeah, he cuts a freaking car in half. The stuff that he does with the dog fighting and things, and he uses the shield in front of him, and then like the wings kind of encapsulated stuff there. Red Hulk looks badass. He doesn't look like a really bad CGI. Yeah, it's looking really really good, and it's looking like a military, like a militaristic like type movie too. Very very like I don't know, like Hunt for the Red October, or just or something like that.
It's interesting that you would say that because I got a combination of Clear and Present Danger
Yes.
with The Fugitive.
Yes, definitely. Of course,
Um,
with what's his name in the movie, with
yeah,
Harrison Ford.
yeah, especially with Harrison Ford. And then what was really interesting was the way how they designed this trailer. For some strange reason, I forgot that this was a Marvel movie
Yeah.
until we saw Red Hulk. Then I
Mm.
was like, oh, that's right, superheroes. I completely forgot. Like this could have easily been one of those political. It is. It's a political thriller, but a straightforward political thriller, where we don't know what we know. And as you know, we'll go and break down the trailer, was kind of explain we're only given what we need to know in terms of from both the plot and only those one side of the story, because it's easy to see that somebody's getting played. We just don't know who is playing whom. We can assume that it's the leader, but it could be something else. And so kind of just diving right in here, what I love is kind of the opening, and it kind of calls back to, we know that Isaiah Bradley was triggered, and that's why he attacked everyone. It was like the an address. It was all of the officials, the government officials, where Harrison Ford was giving a speech of basically of them finding, was it the vibranium or is it adamantium? I get the two confused.
They're finding adamantium now.
Adamantium on the Tiamat 2, I believe it's called.
Tiamat.
Tiamat. I was just throwing it. I was close. But what I absolutely love with this scene, so we do know that, he ends up attacking everyone, and he does end up getting arrested. And so what's interesting is, we see this kind of clear-cut version of him that we've seen in the beginning, but now we've seen him more of like, the hair is completely different. It's kind of like this shaved on the side, and you can see there's an afro growing out of it almost, which is much different than, so we had like the polished version here.
Yeah.
That we know of him, and then we have it here. So we know that he's been in there, it's, to me, for some time to get that amount of hair growth. So he's been in the prison for some time, and he asked, for Sam Wilson, and he says, "Oh, you want to help me and tell me everything that I need to know." And so what we assume, going by the trailer, is obviously this is trying to overtake the government. We do know that the vibrant adamantium is at play, but we just don't know what is going on, who's playing who, and it doesn't seem like we can trust anyone, essentially. And I really like how they do that play where it's like, that split screen, because it seems to me it plays on like, here's this person's POV and another person's POV. And we don't know which one is which. So that, to me, I absolutely loved it. You okay?
Yeah.
You need some water?
Nah.
Okay. So yeah, no, I absolutely love that part. And then we got more action. What did you think of that suit? As we mentioned before, the car is cut in half. We saw in the previous trailer that they played in this trailer again, it seemed like the destruction of maybe the White House or the Capitol. It definitely looked like the White House building.
They're always going to destroy stuff. They're always going to destroy stuff. And like any militaristic movie or something that involves a president or the military or whatever, like you're going to destroy. You're going to destroy government buildings. You're always gonna have that. But the action, yeah, like I said, the action looks great. I'm excited for something different, like the hand-to-hand combat and all that stuff, and running and all the gun shooting and all that stuff. Yeah, we've seen it a billion times. Aerial combat, that's almost hand-to-hand in aerial combat. I mean, with his wings and everything. I'm hoping they'll do something cool with that, along with oh wow, I'm blanking on his name, but he's gonna have a sidekick pretty much, and he's gonna play the Falcon, and I hope they do him justice as well with some good aerial combat and fighting with the wings. What else? Aside from that, yeah, just the action looks great. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree as well. The action does look superb, but what was really interesting that caught my eye, because they didn't have this in the previous trailer, Red Hulk is something that is completely, for me, I assumed is completely against Harrison Ford's or Thaddeus' will. We do see where there's an image. I can pull up the right one, where he's talking about, do you ever ask yourself, is there something else at play? And you see how it says reset Ross, And what is it? Reset Ross, Reset America.
Yes.
So he's being controlled, and this is completely against his will. We see his eyes are like, not that's the wrong one, are completely like in horror in a way.
Mm-hmm.
He realized he's trapped. So this is completely, against his will. And then that's when he turns into, we finally get the Red Hulk. So I didn't think that immediately. I didn't realize that he was going to be kind of the victim in this. Does that change things for you?
I don't like this change in story with the Red Hulk. Me as the comic book fan, the comic book side of me says no. And that's mostly because like Ross hated this. I said this before. We said it a long time ago when we talked about the preview for the Captain America, the teaser for the Captain America trailer. I wish this was a Hulk movie. If you're gonna add the Red Hulk, because the Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, he hated the Hulk, he hated Bruce Banner so much, and he turned himself into the Hulk purposely to be strong enough to like handle him, and he had other stuff going on as well. But he was technically controlled by the leader in the comics as well. So I just don't like that there's no motivation for him. It's all just like he's a puppet and that's it. I don't like that change, but I mean it still works. I'm not I'm not gonna see the movie because of that. I still think it's an interesting twist to it. But I don't know how I feel about it, because what worries me about that kind of plot twist, that he's being controlled, is that in the end of the movie we're not going to have a Red Hulk anymore. Like, he's going to be cured, or he's never going to turn into the Red Hulk because the leader was defeated at the end of the movie, or whoever it might be. So it's just like that's what kind of worries me. Like I want to see more Red Hulk, and eventually a Red Hulk with the Hulk. But hopefully they won't fumble on that in the end.
Do you feel that both things can happen at the same time? We can have the hatred, and then we can also have the control.
Yes.
Because there is a lot of tension that we see in the trailer between Sam and Thaddeus, where it comes, you're not Steve Rogers. And it's like, is that because he's a black man? What's going on? So there is that tension. You could argue that sense of he is losing the government if their super soldiers are randomly being triggered. I don't know if this will get more of the Skrulls. I tried to look really closely. There is a scene where there's a guy who is shooting into a door, like the door's open, but I couldn't tell whether or not he switched because it cuts, and I couldn't tell if that was the same person. But I was just wondering, like, if you have Skrulls that are introduced, because this seems to be very much connected to Secret Invasion, or maybe they just completely forgot everything about Secret Invasion.
You should.
It was like, oh, it said Reset America. Maybe it's also Reset, Marvel Universe. We're gonna just forget that. That goes along in the closet with Ant-Man to never be seen again.
And the Inhumans.
Oh my God. Justice for Inhumans. I think we could have an Inhumans movie now, because it would have been much better than, say, the show.
I mean, the original Inhumans show was supposed to be a movie, and I think they realized how crappy it was, so they made it into a show, which just bombed just as bad. So they were smart in that idea of turning it into a show and kind of just cut their losses. But I don't know.
But see, with budgetary, the budget would have been much bigger on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I mean, they if they really wanted to, they could push for it a better version, a reboot, I guess, so to speak, of it. But with everything that's going on and the failure with the not, oh my God, the
Quantumanium?
Quantumanium? The what?
Quantumanium.
No. The robot space people. Why am I blanking on them?
Now I'm blinking. Oh, Secret Invasion?
No. The movie. It was the movie. The people from space, and it was what was turning Tiamat into Tiamat. That movie, where the hand comes out,
The
Tiamat at the end. Eternals, yes, Eternals. So like the Eternals didn't do that great, and that was a high budget movie. So for them to do something similar with the Inhumans, which is a whole different, species, creatures or species that's been around for a very long time, and they're a family that lives on the moon. Like you got to do that kind of, you got to do it justice. But they fumbled on Eternal, so sometimes you just, regardless of what the budget is, you might slip up.
They did fumble. They fumbled badly. But yeah, so then kind of going, now we got the Red Hulk. What were your opinions? Because I thought he looked much better than what we've seen previously, because it was a mess before.
I think he looks like Harrison Ford. That's pretty much it. I don't think he looks like the Red Hulk from the comics. And yes, he doesn't have to be, but he looks like a big juiced up Harrison Ford. So I'm not crazy about his look, but his physique is right. I think everything looks, the CGI looks great because I think it looks realistic enough. So I think it looks great. It's just his face. The face is what bothers me because it's Harrison Ford's face.
Ooh. I completely agree. I understand what you're saying, but CGI-ish, it looks better.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Wouldn't you want it to look like Harrison Ford? Because if you look at Hulk, or at the Hulk that we got with the last Hulk movie, because the other ones, they did not look like they're actors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, now I'm blanking on the actor's name.
Edward Norton.
Who played? Oh no, the other one. Today's
Eric
one.
Bana. Oh, today's one.
No,
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark. So Mark looks like his Hulk, vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
No? So I think that, like, I don't know, like, comic book wise, are they supposed to be vastly different? But I would assume that you're supposed to look like you, but just a Hulk version.
Well,
no?
I mean, in the comics, and again, you don't have to follow the comics exactly. So in the comics, when Bruce Banner wants to turn into the Hulk, he looks very different. It, like, facially, he doesn't look like Bruce Banner. He looks like the Hulk. He has, depending on who the artist is, of course, because every artist, every series, the art style and the look is going to be different. But mostly Bruce Banner looks very different from the Hulk, and I get that with the movies you want it'll make more sense that way. And yes, I do understand that you have Harrison Ford acting as Thaddeus, so you want the Red Hulk to look like Thaddeus as well, or Harrison Ford. That makes complete sense to me. What bothers me is just it's Harrison Ford, it's Indiana Jones, it's Han Solo. Like that I can't imagine him as anything else. So I just see Harrison Ford. Whereas like the man, rest in peace, the one that passed away, who was recently Thunderbolt Ross, I think he would have been great with it, like especially with his look and the mustache and like the hair that he had. There was online, people online who are posting up like their fan casting, and they had better picks that I would honestly prefer rather than Harrison Ford. When it comes to like the looks department, I think there are some people that look better than Harrison Ford to be more comic accurate, but we got what we got. Like it's jarring for me just because I see Indy and Han Solo, but it's not like a make or break for the movie.
Well, if I had to sit through that horrible last Indiana Jones movie with him just being a CGI character, I think they're at least doing better justice here, because that was traumatizing. It was bad, at least for me. I know a lot of people like, oh my God, but I did not like it at all. And to me, I kind of like the fact that he is still Harrison Ford. Who would have thought Harrison Ford? Like, I think he's like almost 80, maybe older.
Yeah, he's a superhero now.
He's been Indiana Jones, and now he's a superhero. It's just I don't know what they do. Now I'm wondering. But no, another question that I have for you is what do you feel about the word reset America? What do they want? Because you kind of more have knowledge from the comic book of what that means.
I really don't, honestly. I feel like
Mhm.
it's probably just a motivation that the leader or whoever the villain is, because I'm assuming the leader is the main villain, and
Yeah.
Giancarlo's character is probably just another puppet or like a side character or someone that's helping the leader. I don't think Giancarlo's character is gonna be the main villain, but I could be wrong. Um, but I feel like the reset is just a motivation that the main villain has, maybe in the vein of just like, you know how like Wakanda, they have vibranium, they almost have control of all
Mhm.
vibranium in the world, so they're a superpower nation. So I feel like they're trying to make America again a superpower nation with this fight for adamantium,
Mm.
which by the way
Okay.
is stronger than vibranium.
Ooh, shots fired. Ah, but that should be interesting because it is basically they're trying to set a world war over this. So some countries start falling, some leaders start falling, and that's it's interesting if it was just over vibranium. I wonder if it's come something more than like Hulk as the leader. You know, that should be interesting. But
Mm,
I did love this. I thought it was very strong. Again, as we said it before, that political thriller. And I don't it didn't feel like we've seen anything like this in the MCU before. Even in its heyday, we never really got political thriller. Even with Secret Invasion, rest its soul, it never felt really, that strong. There was a lot of, I mean, we don't get to this movie without Secret Invasion, especially with that ending. But, this one clearly felt like it was more, I don't know how to explain it. Like it knew its purpose and it had a goal,
mhm.
where at times Secret Invasion felt like it was all over the place.
I agree.
So, and again, I don't know. I have not seen this movie at all. It could suck. But what it looked like, it looked good. So I completely agree. So then, I agree with myself. So then kind of moving on, we now have Thunderbolts, which is a completely different, tone, texture, everything. This to me felt more of like a Guardians of the Galaxy or even the original Avengers kind of feel to it. So what were your thoughts on that?
I got a little bit of a vibe with Guardians of the Galaxy because of like the humor. But
Mhm.
I honestly got more of a vibe of Suicide Squad. Um,
Mhm.
that was like because the humor was kind of the same as well. Not sorry. Not only was the humor felt like Suicide Squad, but also the presentation. It was kind of like, this villain is
Mm.
meeting that villain, and then you kind of see like the big name of, you see Ghosts, and then you see the Black Widow, the Red Guardian, all that stuff. So it's just like the whole pop up of the names and everything, and the graphics and the way it was all presented. Yeah, there you go, Taskmaster. It was it, and Bob. Oh God, I we need to talk about that at some point. But I that's what I got, and it's not a bad thing. I still enjoyed this trailer very much, especially more so than the first one, because the first one was very boring and cookie cutter to me. Um,
Mhm.
so this one came off a lot more like MCU's just trying to have a bit more fun now.
Mm. I agree. This it reminded me of like the old school. Let's have fun. It nothing really seemed original in terms of we've seen this multiple times before. You brought up Suicide Squad, even with the Suicide Squad, going back all with Guardians of the Galaxy and every other movie before. Ragtag group of people who don't like each other. Now
Mhm,
we're a team
mhm.
brought together by their leader, who they all hate. And everyone's just kind of miserable being in the same room with each other, except for Bob. Bob is like, hey, I'm Bob. No attitude whatsoever with Mr. Bob. But yeah, so I kind of got that, but it kind of just felt more fun than anything. It played up on the same emotions that we've known before from the MCU with, broken characters and sad backstories. Yelena, we had her story of her being a part of the Russian situationship. We know Bucky and his PTSD, which is interesting that they showed this. So I'm wondering, do you think we will get an impasse of both Bucky and Falcon, original Falcon, so our Captain America now, basically going their separate ways? Or do you think that will just be something off screen?
You mean like in one of the movies?
In one of the movies, because the way how, from my understanding, it's been a while. Falcon
Mhm,
and Winter Soldier kind of ended with Bucky's really happy.
mhm.
He's crushing on Falcon's sister. Falcon is upset about that. He never did get his loan, but everyone is just kind of living together. Okay. He smiles at the end.
Yeah. I That's a good point because from the trailers, we don't know what happened to Bucky after that. So I hope they kind of fill in that gap of like is he back to being a mercenary? Is he being brainwashed again? Is he doing this on his own accord? Like we don't know what's going on. So I would hope maybe they'll do a little bit of a I damn it's hard because excuse me. So they have a lot of characters, and a lot of these characters will have to have character development. And when you have too many of these characters, some of them are going to be left on the wayside more so than others. So I'm hoping they don't lose sight of Bucky because I think Bucky is a fan favorite for a lot of people, and they kind of fill in those gaps between Thunderbolts and Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. Um, So I don't think they're really gonna touch on that much. I think they're just gonna I hope they just fill in the gap of just like, all right, I'm gonna go do my own thing. I guess, I'm still meant to be a mercenary, so that's what I'm gonna do kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing that you can argue. We know everyone's backstory except for Master, Ghost, and Bob, who's central.
Well, we do. We kind of definitely not Bob, but we do with Taskmaster because she was involved in the Black Widow movie.
That's
That was that villain. And
right.
then Ghost was in the second Ant-Man. Ghost was the villain for the second Ant-Man, so we know her backstory as well and her
Well,
motivations.
the way how my brain is not braining. So then Bob. So we can fill out more. So really, it's just more of filling out more of Taskmaster, Ghost, and then just giving us who the heck Bob is, who is basically Superman.
But here's the problem, though. The problem with that, and yes, like they'll have to fill in those gaps, but like I feel like that movie will mostly focus on Red Guardian, Black Widow, and Bucky, and hopefully, me personally, for those people who don't know, Bob is the Sentry. He is my
Mhm.
favorite character in all of Marvel, and he is yet to be done, done justice because in the comics they killed him off probably about 3 or 4 times. He's never had his own comic run, but he's still my favorite. So I hope they do him justice. But to go to my point was that Ghost and Taskmaster, they weren't very well received villains in their respective movies. Like they were just like meh, and people hated Taskmaster actually, for especially the comic book fans, because this was nothing like the Taskmaster in the comics. So I feel like this movie is still not gonna do them justice, and if anyone dies, it'll probably be one of them.
Oh, getting death already? We just got introduced to them.
That's
You
my
can't
that's
kill them.
my guess. They
Or
just they're not important characters.
you could pull a James Gunn. And remember when everyone was like, this is the Suicide Squad. And then they're all dead. And it's like, nah, this is actually the Suicide Squad. That was
Yeah.
a big like plot
That
twist.
was it
I
was
was
great.
like, it was like the first 5 minutes of the movie was just them dying. And what was crazy, the press tour was like, oh, we're interviewing them like they're the actual thing, and they're just going on with it. It's like, you guys die in the first 3 minutes. What is that? That's terrible. But one of the big things that happened with this trailer that kind of made me excited is we kind of know what happened to the Avengers Tower. Yay! The Avengers Tower is back, renovated after decades of abuse and fights and being blown up and destroyed. I forgot in which movie, but it was when I forgot which movie. Was it Ultron that did it? Because I know he did it some, but there was one that completely eviscerated Avengers Tower. I'm old.
I think it was Ultron. I can't remember.
I think it was Ultron, but we get that Valentina is basically the owner of Avengers Tower, which looks very lovely. She stated it costs a lot of money, and so she is the one. For me, what I assumed is when it starts out when they're on that convoy, and when the convoys are chasing them, and they're in like that desert area, and we see that it's Bucky that saves the day, but then it's Bucky that also attacks them. He doesn't seem like he's controlled at all. I think that's gone because remember the conversation that he had with Shuri to kind of bring his brain back to being unwashed. Right. Remember that time that he spent in Wakanda was very important. He was the White Wolf, remember? Yeah. White Wolf. I wonder, will we see White Wolf? Because you read the comics, is that persona different or is it just a name?
From what I can remember, I think it's just a name. He still was very much a conflicted person who still, he'd do bad things, but he didn't mean to do bad things, and he's trying to be a good person, especially during that time, his own Captain America run. So from what I can remember, I'm pretty sure it's just a name. But that a name that he has to live up to, though.
Oh, well, he could kind of like try to take on that persona.
Yeah.
Because they do introduce him as Bucky, but then remember there is that conversation that like Yelena has, where she's basically saying, we're all broken people. We're trying to have a purpose. We don't have no purpose in life. So maybe them being this ragtag team gives them that purpose. And remember, they're all kind of broken. They've been used. They've been brainwashed. So there you go there. And again, Bucky never seemed to be brainwashed. He knew exactly what he was doing. We just don't know why Bucky is working with Valentina. We definitely know why John Walker is. And that should be interesting. I think he's a father in this one. So that should be, I think he was a father in Falcon.
Well,
he was definitely a father in this
one. Here's my guess. I don't know if you noticed this, but we got Bucky, we got the red soldier dude, Red Guardian. We have Bob, and we have Yelena. And I think that's it. I guess you could count Taskmaster as well. So 5, because I don't know about Ghost's storyline. So 5 of these characters, they have one common. Oh, and John Walker and him actually, they have a common thing, which is the super soldier serum. They all have different variants of the super soldier serum. So I feel like Bucky has some sort of incentive to working with Valentina, because this probably involves the serum in some sort of way. And that's also the motivations for a lot of these other people. Like they want to be stronger, or they want to be famous, or maybe they want to get rid of it. I don't know. But all of these guys here, and I can't account for Ghost because I can't remember her backstory, but I don't think so. But they're all related in some way with the super soldier serum.
Okay. So it's former super soldiers in the serums. That should be interesting. And then, but you see, it also carries on with the whole Brave New World, because they're all super soldiered up. So that, and it's more than just Bradley who's attacking everyone. It's all of the former soldiers as well. So it should be really interesting. I wonder if they do connect, but it looks interesting. Is there anything else that you want to mention when it came to this one?
Um. So I mean, we talked about our first impressions on it. The action looks really good. I feel like they revealed a little bit too much, and I think the only thing that I
Really?
worry about, it still looks like a fun movie, but what I worry about the most is them doing the Sentry justice. And specifically even Bob, because so far we've seen Bob twice in both trailers, but we have not seen the Sentry. So one that worries me, because Marvel can be quick to show the Red Hulk so they can start selling tickets, but you don't want to show the Sentry. And the Sentry is a big deal for a lot of people, specifically the fans. So for us to see Bob twice, and then the way they introduce Bob in this second trailer, it's very comical. So I'm actually very worried that he's just going to be a comedic character, which is not his character at all in the comics. So maybe I'm hoping also maybe that Bob will be sort of comedic, but the Sentry won't be. I don't know. So that is what worries me. So the fact that they haven't shown the Sentry yet, the way they presented Bob, but the rest of the movie looks fun.
I got the feeling of, remember in the last Guardians movie, I think it was Adam that was introduced, the golden one.
Adam Warlock, yes.
Adam Warlock. They play that very comedic, and that is not the character. I got the same vibes. So
Yeah.
I'm just but here's, I don't know. So Sentry is basically kind of like Marvel's Superman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they changed the persona because DC is having their Superman movie?
No, the Sentry is still a very different character from Superman. Especially personality wise, Superman has always been the good old Boy Scout kind of. I mean, sure, you can call him cookie cutter, but he was like the original. So it's like everything else is cookie cutter from Superman.
Right.
The Sentry is more of a dark psychological mental character. I don't want to say too much in case they want to go deep into him, but like in another movie or in the movie itself, but like he's a drug addict. Let's just put it that way. He's a drug addict. He has another side to him that is very, very dangerous in the comics. And I hope they kind of hint at that at some point, because that other side to him can rival the Hulk, put it this way. So personality wise, he's very different from Superman. So I don't think that they're worried about that. I think maybe they're just playing it safe, because if you make in the movie specifically, if you make a character too overpowered, then there's no challenge for the characters. And I think that was an issue that we've had for a long time with Superman movies, and actually even video games for that matter. Like Superman is just too damn powerful that everything seems easy to him. So you have to be very cautious with someone like the Sentry.
Ooh. So then, do you feel that Bob is just the persona that keeps Sentry at bay, and then therefore something has to trigger him to be Sentry?
That, or he just doesn't know he's a Sentry yet. Like I get a feeling also that he's probably not going to turn into like this ultra buff, powerful, long-haired blonde man until the end of the movie. Like he's gonna be like he's not what's the term? Not MacGuffin. He's gonna be the ex machina of the end of the movie. He's probably gonna save everyone because he released his inert powers and he becomes the Sentry for like 5 minutes, and then that's it. And I'm gonna hate it if that happens.
That troubles me because we've seen that before and they never followed up.
Yeah.
At all. Oh, no, I'm sad for the movie. Oh, well. That's just unfortunate. Well, any final thoughts on both of these movies or the direction, even from just two things? Because, there's a whole bunch of other things that they showed of Marvel Studios so far.
For D23, man, I'm excited for both these movies. I'm still gonna watch them. Regardless. I think MCU, I think we're getting back to the way MCU used to be, hopefully. I'm excited for that animated Spider-Man show that they showed also. They teased a little bit of that footage, not in D23, but like just online and stuff. So I'm excited for that as well. And I'm also excited because Kevin Feige actually said not only are they gonna reel it back a little bit with usually about 2 movies and 3 TV shows every year, but also we're going to see a lot more renewals of seasons of TV shows that we do love. So hopefully we're not just going to get 1 season of Daredevil, or we're not going to be left in limbo with that 1 season of Moon Knight. We're going to get more stuff. We're going to get renewals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we already know that they got renewed for I think there's 3 seasons of Daredevil. So that is something that is going to be amazing. And we'll kind of break down and talk about that stuff later because it was a lot that was presented that was really good and delicious and amazing. So, woo! So I have been your host. Once again, I am Dana from the Koalition.com. You can also check out our stuff we have more stuff on the YouTube page. We will have interviews with Mufasa, Barry Jenkins. We have the CEO of some Marvels and some Disney's, Pixar. So we will have a lot more videos from interviews from D23 Brasil. We will have a picture gallery of everything that went on. If you go to our Twitter account on the Koalition, there is a whole bunch of announcements and the videos from the show as well. And there will be more coming up on the website where we break down more stuff. So we will be back. Of course, we'll break down more of the news and more trailers and more yummy, yummy goodness from D23 Brasil, which I kind of feel like, I think sometimes they might be getting a little bit better than what we got over here in America. I was like, I need to I feel a little like left out. You treat our Americans like, oh, poop. Over in Brazil, you showing whole episodes. You don't get a whole episodes of many things. But anyway, we will be back talking about all of that. Have a good day, afternoon, night, evening, whatever time you're watching this, and we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.